Hello, everyone. It's Jay Delnegro here, one half of the Don't Judge Me podcast. And I just want to have a bit of a preamble before you get into what you're about to hear. This is not an episode of the Don't Judge Me podcast. Instead, this is episode 204 being decoded by a few hosts, and they're explaining their perspective on our previous episode. Figured I'd share. So again, this is not a full episode of the Don't Judge Me podcast. This is a decoded episode from someone else about the previous episode 204. Listen, give us feedback. Leave us a voicemail at 202-642-9398 or send us an email at don'tjudgepod@gmail.com. Maybe this continues to become a thing, maybe not. I'm just trying it, seeing how it works. Thought it was fascinating. And again, this is not Sir Nigel or Jay Delnegro talking about anything. This is something else talking about us.
Don't judge me.
Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take a whole bunch of sources, could be articles, research, our own notes, and we really focus the spotlight on another piece of content. And our mission isn't just consuming it. It's about understanding what's really going on, its essence.
Exactly.
Today, we're peeling back the layers on a show that describes itself as the go-to spot for unfiltered laughs, bold takes, and outrageous stories.
Right. And this deep dive, it's really about dissecting how information and, well, entertainment too, get packaged, even when it's wrapped up in something they call thought-provoking nonsense.
Thought-provoking nonsense, I like that.
Yeah. So we're going to explore what it actually means for content to be packed with personality, perspective, and pure podcasting gold. It's quite a fascinating look at communication itself, really, especially in these more, let's say, unconventional spaces.
Okay, so the specific content today, we're diving into episode 204 of the Don't Judge Me podcast, hosted by Sir Nigel and Jay Delnegro. And this episode, apparently it promises to plunge headfirst into some pretty unique topics.
Yeah, the show's description paints quite a picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Chaos, comedy, and candid commentary.
Right.
And it's supposed to be filled with off-the-cuff humor, spicy opinions, and the kind of real talk that sparks group chats and side eyes at the office.
Aha!
So our goal here is to kind of unpack these descriptions to see how a show that promises, hilarious hot takes might also deliver moments of unexpected depth.
Yeah.
And what that tells us about engaging an audience today.
Okay, let's get into it then. Episode 204, it kicks off with a really intriguing mix. First up, they've got a special guest, Brado from Australia, sharing his thoughts on America. I mean, that immediately screams unique cross-cultural perspective, right? You're getting an outside view right off the bat.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting there, I think, is how an outsider's spicy opinion, as they call it, isn't just about offering different views.
Yeah.
Often it acts like a cultural mirror.
Yeah.
When someone like Brado from Australia shares their view on America, it can reflect back our own norms, our assumptions,
Yeah.
in ways we might just not see ourselves.
That makes sense.
It really highlights how much of what we think is normal is actually, context dependent. And that outside view can be a bit of a shortcut to seeing our own blind spots.
And, okay, if you thought that was an interesting start, here's where it gets really interesting. The next item listed on their agenda is Gen Con, the Geneva Convention.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, seriously, what kind of conversation does a show built on chaos and comedy even start to have around something, so significant and often really serious?
Yeah.
My first thought is it's either just pure shock value, or maybe there's some kind of surprisingly smart, maybe counterintuitive angle they're going for.
Well, that's exactly the tension, isn't it?
Yeah.
The tension the show's description hints at with moments of unexpected depth. When an unfiltered format takes on international humanitarian law, like the Geneva Conventions, that's not just unusual. It feels like a deliberate provocation.
It does, yeah.
It kind of challenges the listener and probably the host, too, to think about whether, genuine insights can come from irreverence. Or is it just purely for comedic effect? What's the risk? And maybe what's the potential reward for them in doing something like that, do you think?
That is a good question. I suppose the risk is, Well, you might alienate some listeners, right?
Sure.
But the reward could be grabbing attention in a way a traditional show just couldn't.
Exactly.
And speaking of grabbing attention, the final really eye-catching element they list is a $60 hooker motel.
Okay. Right.
What does that kind of hyper-specific detail tell us about the show's promise of outrageous stories and candid commentary? It certainly doesn't pull any punches.
No, it doesn't. And precisely, this kind of hyper-specific provocative detail, which the show calls pure podcasting gold, it's almost like a masterclass in using the absurd, the unexpected, to hook your attention. It just bypasses any abstract discussion and immediately grounds the whole thing in this raw, almost cinematic human experience.
Yeah, very vivid.
Very vivid. This kind of stuff is instantly sticky, isn't it? And shareable.
Yes.
Because it's so unexpected and often, well, inherently funny or shocking. It's about using these really singular details to make a broader point, maybe, or perhaps just to entertain. It shows how even the most unusual topics can become pretty compelling narratives.
And it's not just them talking at people, is it? The material also mentions interactive stuff. Like there's an invitation to send thoughts to their email, don'tjudgepod@gmail.com, or even call or text a number, 202-642-9398, to be part of the madness. So that really highlights how direct audience engagement seems baked into this kind of podcasting. It makes the listeners feel, actually involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the show explicitly says it's not an average podcast. It urges listeners to join us in judgment.
That's quite a phrase. Join us in judgment.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
That specific phrasing, it implies a very active, maybe provocative identity to the show. It's inviting the audience not just to listen passively, but to actively participate in its unique brand of commentary and its perceived chaos.
So it's like building a community.
Yeah, I think so. It's a call to form a community around a shared, often quite irreverent perspective, turning listeners into active participants in the show's unfolding story.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all mean for us, for you listening? We've just taken this deep dive into the Don't Judge Me podcast. We've reflected on how its mix of chaos, comedy, candid commentary, all that stuff aims to be thought-provoking nonsense. And I think it's a really powerful reminder that not all learning, maybe not all valuable insight, comes in those traditional, neatly wrapped packages.
No, definitely not.
Sometimes the most impactful communication, it comes from the least expected places.
Indeed. And the key insights we've pulled out here, they really emphasize how understanding the style and the content of a show like this can genuinely broaden your perspective on how information gets shared and consumed today.
Yeah.
We've seen how really unexpected and diverse topics can be explored through these unfiltered and bold lenses, even if the main vehicle seems to be humor or maybe shock value.
Right.
It's a compelling look at how content creators are constantly, innovating, trying to capture attention and build connection, especially in today's crowded media world.
So that leaves us with a final thought then. What does it actually mean for something to make sense when you don't think about it, like their description says? And maybe how might engaging with content like this, content that sort of deliberately defies traditional categories, lead you to surprising aha moments, about the world or maybe even about yourself? Something to mull over until our next deep dive.